Dan, I'm going to do this for you again. I have 3 words that I want to say to you.
Oh boy, and what are those?
They are Happy New Year.
That is 2. 2 words.
Well, I've never been good at counting, but Happy New Year, Dan. What the
Well,
heck?
Happy New Year to you as well.
It's not technically Happy New Year. So this episode is coming out the Wednesday before New Year's Day, which is
Right.
on Monday, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And we just thought we would have a Happy New Year episode on a Wednesday. What the heck?
Yeah, it's the last episode of 2023.
Yeah. 2023. Boy, this year. So that reminds me of a famous lyric from a Pink Floyd song. Every year is getting shorter, barely seem to find the time.
Oh,
And
yes.
maybe there's a lot of truth to that. Doesn't it seem that as an adult, the years go by faster than when you were a child?
It does. But I think it's because you pay more attention to things. So you're constantly, you're focused on time and how much time it takes and what time you can do. It's just I think you just pay more attention to it.
As an adult, I think it's the
Yeah.
other way around. I think as a child, everything's like new and different, and you're experiencing things like, and then as an adult, as you're just in cruise control, you're on this mindless and blind treadmill to nowhere.
What an encouraging picture to paint going into the new year.
Well, that was before I became a firewood delivery service, because
Oh, okay.
now, yeah, now everything is new and exciting for me.
Sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, I gotta say, I had lunch with my cousin who I hadn't seen in a while, and he was asking about, he's just kind of fascinated about everything that's happened to me and the way that it has. And I gotta tell you, it's opened up my senses. I've been noticing things in the world that I used to not, because I was on this cruise control, that treadmill. I would get up in the morning, drive to work, get yelled at, drive home. And I would do I would do that 5 days a week. And now that I'm self-employed and I make firewood and I am pumping my fist because this is a great lifestyle, I notice things in this world that have gone so long without noticing, like birds flying in the sky, and tree leaves changing color in the fall, and stop signs and everything like that.
It's good that you're starting to finally notice those stop signs. That is key. That is key to continuing on having more happy days ahead.
Yeah, I don't know how you are, but I always regard like stop signs and the the yellow lines and the white lines as suggestions. I don't I don't look at them as uh rigid things that one must follow.
Well, I don't do much driving, so I when I get out there, I try to pay as much attention as I can. But I hear what you're saying about the time going by. You do start to notice things, and I think it's just because I think it's more like you're having more of an appreciation for what you've accomplished and what you're doing and where you're going.
Yeah, well, this isn't about me, Dan. The Woodhound podcast, it's 50-50. And I look at you and I'm impressed. You've accomplished a lot in 2023. You have a lot to be proud of. And I had always said to you, and this was even before when we kind of like knew each other better. When we had first started talking, I had said that I had always looked at you as a person in a unique position with your, and here's this word,
Get ready. I know what's
your
coming.
your your niche, your
Oh,
niche. Yeah, you are in a unique position, and I think that you wear it like a badge. You take responsibility for it, and you're kind of like a, not a gatekeeper, but you're like the library of a community.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a 2023 has been a pretty wild ride and a pretty yeah, substantial, I guess. I don't know. I don't I have a tough time like bragging. I don't know if it really comes across as bragging or not, but just, going over the things that I've kind of accomplished and what I've set out to do. And I don't talk a lot about stuff like that on my channel, like what my goals are. And,
I
you know,
agree.
but one of
Yeah.
the things, and this is like one thing I give advice to people who ask me about YouTube. There's like two questions. What do you want to do with YouTube? And what do you want YouTube to do for you? So for me, I wanted to do with YouTube is I just wanted to increase like what I consider my brand, like Back 40 Firewood. I wanted to increase my brand, increase my impact on social media, and I wanted YouTube to just make it fun for me to do that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, your channel had rapid growth this year. If I recall, I was pretty far ahead of you in subscriber count, which we all recognize is not the reliable metric for a YouTube channel's value. It's the total number of views is what's the important thing. But at the beginning of the year, I was ahead of you. And then you started making a concerted effort. And it wasn't just throwing up videos. You made a calculated approach with YouTube, Facebook, your website, your live streams, and good heavens, you've passed me up, and you just continue to grow. And it's not just YouTube, but Facebook. You get some serious views on Facebook. Good heavens.
Yeah, it's well, and it's just again, it's just part of that strategy of taking social media and looking at it as what do I want to do with it and what do I want it to do for me?
Yeah,
And then, there's a lot of little things that I think people overlook when they try to do the same thing. But it's, when you're going from one platform to another, you've got to reformat, you got to re-edit, you got to
that
put
is
in the
true.
time and the effort. You got to put in some work. You can't just want it to do something for you without putting something in.
Yeah, and you were the one that pushed me to get into Facebook. And I, I have different I have a different lifestyle than you. And that is not taking anything away from you because you have a full-time job where you got to do work for your full-time employer, and then you do your social media in your off time, you know. And where I'm still chasing my tail with firewood, and I have still just stuck to my routine with how I make and produce videos. They're a little bit more simplistic than what you've been putting out. Your thumbnails are excellent. Your content is fun, and like your live stream and stuff. That's like the end of the week where everyone can come around and sit by the fire and shoot the breeze.
Yeah, unwind. Get together and unwind.
Yeah. So I am going to defend you right now because you catch a lot of grief from a lot of people out there. And I'm just, let's just be honest here about I'm talking about the yoga pants kind of a thing.
Yes.
But here's the thing about this. So I was a baseball player until I was 31 years old. I was a pitcher, and I was a left-handed pitcher. And when I was growing up, there weren't private teachers, instructors on how to pitch. I learned how to pitch by watching other guys on TV. And my favorite pitcher was Bert Blyleven, even though I was left-handed. But Bert Blyleven was known as one of the greatest curveballs in all of pitching. And I monitored everything. I copied everything he did. My windup looked exactly like his, and it was just weird. I had that enormous curveball that he had, and everyone thought of Joe as a curveball pitcher. But what I knew was that is not how I got batters out. It was my fastball. I used my curve as a weapon to set up my fastball. That's how I got
Mm.
people out. And people got hung up on the curveball and didn't notice what was my moneymaker. And that, I think, is a an analogy to your channel. People get hung up on the yoga pants, and that really isn't a big contributor to your channel. Dan. It's you, and it is your personality, and it is the firewood. That is always the central point of your videos.
Yeah, and the other thing people also get hung up on is the fact that I'm technically not a firewood producer. I am a hobbyist. And so so they look at me and they say, "Well, you're not even making that much firewood. Why, this doesn't make sense. Why are why do you have this equipment? Why do you do that?" And then of course, yes, I
Yeah.
use my wife for views. But if you think about a strategy from an entertainment point of view, and you look at your demographics as 50% over the age of 40 male, what do they want to see every now and then? Something besides just me. So, it's the same thing that happened with like pro wrestling in the 80s and 90s, and it happened with like when I was involved with it. Promoters would bring in, the ladies match, and everybody would get mad because why are the ladies have no business in wrestling? But
Yeah.
it's what people want to see. It's like sometimes you have to give the people what they want, and that's all part of a strategy. Entertainment strategy.
Yeah, I think that any criticism of you being a hobbyist is invalid, and it is irrelevant. You are a personality. Your niche is firewood, and you get views. You are entertaining, you're engaging, and when I look back on 2023, that's what I see. I see that you have embraced your role and you've gone with it. And you're not pretending to be something that you're not. You're not pretending to be some big producer and stuff, and you have no insecurity about it when someone, says, "Oh, well, you just do this on the side."
Yeah,
You're like, "Well, yes, I do. So deal with it. What's the big deal?"
exactly. And
Yeah.
the famous line that I always hear is work smarter, not harder, right?
Yeah.
Every time I'm doing something, you'll always hear people say, and with everything, everyone's always focused on working harder, working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
But then if you flip it around and you ask, okay, so if I go out in my wood yard and I spend an hour making content and only produce less than a third of a cord of firewood, but the content pays me more than what the firewood would have, did I not work smarter instead of
Yeah.
harder? Right? So instead of going out and making 3 cords of firewood in one day, like that's the hard work. But if I am looking at myself as a content creator, I am actually working smarter and not harder. It's just that I'm
Right.
not producing volumes of firewood.
Yeah. No, I'm totally on board with you with that. And you've expanded that, and we can't forget about the Woodhounds podcast, which is, oh, by the way, the largest firewood podcast in the
Yes.
world. Yeah. And that's been nice. I think 2023 has been very good to you. Very good.
Well,
And
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 that's
I wish
not,
you better even in 24.
well, again, thank you for that. I greatly appreciate the I guess, just like you recognizing that and saying that. And but this, like you mentioned, this podcast is about two guys. And you, Joe, your 2023 had a lot of monumental achievements, not, both in your business and YouTube. I mean, you started off the year moving your whole operation to a new location. I mean, that was a pretty big deal.
You just made me break into a sweat. I felt all that stress come back on me again. I'm having flashbacks. Yeah, my firewood business, Ohio Wood Burner, and my YouTube channel, Ohio Wood Burner, I would argue are both on the same trajectory. They're both growing at the same pace, slow and steady. And the big move this winter, the negotiations started almost like right around the new year for that property, which is awesome, by the way. And then I just knew about the weather and being able to get a crew down here and getting a machine to bring my 5,000-pound processor through mud to get it out to the new location was going to take a little bit later into the spring. So May 1st, I opened for business at the new location, and it was the Saturday before was our open house. Dan, there's I think we counted 300 plus that came. The guy running the food truck, he thought there was 4,000 because he
There
was
was always a
overrun.
line. There
Yeah.
was always a line at the food truck. I tried 3 times to go over and get lunch, and I would just every time like, well, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come
Uh-huh.
back. And the line's down.
Yeah, we had people here from Maine, Connecticut, North and South Carolina, Virginia, Delaware, Canada, Minnesota. There was Arkansas, Tennessee. We had people from all over that came all the way out here to little Cortland, Ohio, to spend the afternoon with Ohio Woodburner. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was a fun time. It was great seeing. Well, we had heard about your location, and we seen it a little bit in some teaser videos, but then finally being there and
Yeah.
seeing it in person, it was very impressive.
I still, when I go over there, I still can't believe it's mine. It's just I can't believe this has all been accomplished here in such a short amount of time. And I can't take credit for everything. There's a lot of people that helped, and all of the woodhounds that came out too, that ran their saws and moved wood around to help prime the pump for me
Oh
at my new
yes,
location. Yeah, that was really nice. But that was when I think of 2023, that was probably my biggest thing. I think for the YouTube side, though, my I think my standing in the woodhound community, or my standing in the woodhound industry, the firewood industry, I'm starting to get contacts from like some major players. Like winding up this season in Colorado because of the VPAC packaging system.
yes,
And then being invited out to Maine, to Bangor, Maine with Fox Forestry. That was a big deal.
yeah. You had some interesting and fun travels as well.
Yeah, I did. And I expect there to be some more coming up in 2024. A lot of these, I'm getting requests, to go to places and to tour some places. But sometimes I just can't because of, I got daughters in college, and I got a schedule of stuff I got to take care of here at home as well. But that's one thing I enjoy doing is the industry and looking at innovation and new things and new exciting ways of doing stuff. That's the stuff that really gets me up in the morning and makes me want to be even better at what I do. And whatever I can do on YouTube, I hope can spill over into my own, my own firewood service.
Yeah, I enjoy doing it as well, but I also enjoy seeing you do it because I think you bring that little twist of like we never quite sure. And the one thing I really enjoy seeing is that I know that you when you visit like people, you like set them up to be like, all right, now say this line so
Yeah.
that then you can deliver your other line, but you might not tell them what your line is. So then it's always fun to see that stuff, like the little comedy, thrown into it.
Yeah. When I think back upon my professional career, I think I've said this before. I always wanted to do a good job. I think I did a pretty good job. I wasn't their best employee, but I wasn't the worst either. But I had always felt like no matter where I was, I never fit in. I always felt like I was the round peg and the place I worked at was a square hole. Just didn't fit in. And I have this I like to crack jokes. I find humor in things. And some people interpret that as being I'm not serious, but
Yep.
I mean, if you look at what I'm doing, I'm not fooling around with Ohio Woodburner. I'm pedal to the metal here, but I'm going to enjoy myself while I'm doing it. And that's what I think Ohio Woodburner and YouTube has allowed me to do, that because I had been one of the biggest influences in my life was I watched Airplane the Motion Picture like 20 times in a row when I was at Buck Night down the road here when I first got my driver's license. I would go in there all by myself and just watch the movie again. And that style of humor and satire and just intellectual humor kind of stuff. I just had always been attracted to that, and it spills into my videos. I'll leave Easter eggs in my videos that there's like the one I had an obscure quote of a song that I just put into one of my videos, and there was a guy from England who caught it. It was a quote from a Beatles song, and he caught it and commented on it. No one else had made any comment about it.
That's always the fun thing to do. I'll do the same thing with like visuals. Sometimes I'll have certain things placed somewhere and I try to frame them in, and then there's always like one or two people that will notice it, and just that one person noticing it is like enough. Like I'm like, yes, somebody noticed it. Somebody appreciated that.
Yeah, the I get a kick out of, I've always said about satire is there's two problems with satire. One is some people don't get it, and the second problem is some people don't want to get it,
Right.
and
Yep.
like I used my one my employee of the month award, and I'm dead serious about this in my videos and stuff, and some people just get very upset about that. They think I'm, they're like, well, what the heck, you're work there all by yourself. Yeah, and I think it's hilarious. I'm gonna start coming up with new things like the suggestion box and the Christmas party.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
good. The
Uh-huh.
Ohio Woodburner Christmas party.
Yeah, and it's
I would
just
love to
me.
see it. It's just you walking around the wood yard.
Yeah, I win the company raffle and
So looking back on 2023, I know
yes.
going in you were a little hesitant about the whole move and all the, your
That was
schedule,
scary.
your
Yeah.
traveling and everything.
Yeah, it was
Looking
scary.
back now, anything you'd want to do different?
So I don't know. I guess there could be some regrets in there, but when you're a sole proprietor, and that's what I accepted, that I am just myself, and I don't beat myself up over a lack of productivity. Although I think I do pretty good.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
one common theme around every wood yard is there's never enough. You never have enough firewood. You could always have done more.
Uh-huh.
So,
How
that's
about you?
whew, I don't
I
know.
know what it would be, building your own carport.
Well, yes and no, because the problem is that if I wouldn't have done that, I would still have in my mind that I could do it. So I would probably try
Yeah.
to do something else. And that was a learning experience to like, all right, next time you want something built, get someone that knows how to build it.
Uh-huh.
Or have like a whole bunch of people come over and have like, have them help you do it. So you have
Yeah.
more experience and more knowledge at the ready instead of just mine.
Yeah. So looking back on 2023, what did you feel about the Paul Bunyan show and it's the way it was this year, and then the way you see it going forward?
Oh, well, do you want my honest
Yeah.
thought or just what I think you want me to say?
Yeah, I let it out, man. I think we're
Well,
all adults, so.
it's it was obviously this year was I felt like the biggest of the 3 years I've been there.
Uh-huh.
But on the same side, like I don't know what's left for me if I go
Yeah.
there again. There like I just feel like I've seen everything. It's kind of gotten to a point now where you have to come to a point in your life where you say, all right, is there anything that what am I going to get out of this? Like, is there any
Uh,
value of me going there?
yeah.
And there is, but then again, does that outweigh, the cost and the time and I don't know. It's
Yeah.
great. I love it. I love going there. I love meeting the people and seeing everyone, but maybe there's opportunities for that elsewhere throughout the year.
Yeah, well, I think for me, looking at you though, the value is what you bring to others, because there's people out there that want to see you and meet you and hang out with you. Like, I mean, I saw it at your live stream. What the
Yeah.
heck?
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
And that's where, again, I just have this one side of me that's like, all right, when as a kid, when you go to the fair, the county fair, at some point you've been on every ride. You've experienced everything that's there, and then the next year, like, all right, well, I don't know. But yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And that's the one thing why I will continue, and I'm planning on going in 2024 is
Uh-huh.
to meet with people, have the live stream there, go about the grounds, but I'm not really sure that there will be anything at the Paul Bunyan show that I need to go see as far
Yeah.
as equipment.
All right. So looking back upon 2023, what is the biggest development in the firewood industry, would you say? Either as in a trend or a machine or on YouTube or what?
Oh man.
Maybe the growth of YouTube channels?
Yeah, I would say the increasing number of channels and just opportunities to see how things are done differently in different regions by different people. Um, I think seeing that bags definitely are better than bundles and
Yeah,
wraps.
right.
I think that was one big thing to come out of the year.
Uh-huh.
Um, I don't know. What do you think?
Uh, so I'm highly biased here, but I will stand behind what I'm about to say here. I think the biggest development for 2023 was the Yappa 405 establishing itself as just an amazing firewood processor, if not the best processor in the world. What a machine.
Yeah, I would have to agree after seeing that thing. It
Yeah.
is very impressive.
It just doesn't stop. I I've never once had a jam. It just continues to crank out perfect firewood. It's reliable, it's robust, it's a tank. What a great machine.
Tank, the red
Yeah.
tank.
The big red machine. Well, I just see the way, firewood is going. I think smaller splits, and then after my trip to Colorado, I'm thinking about shorter. And I mean that plays a big role in not just the logistics of shipping and stuff because you can fit more on a pallet, but I think it makes the stick dry out faster, and I think that's the key to the future of firewood in the United States is seasoned firewood. And
Yeah,
I see some of these newer stoves are really tight, and a 16-inch stick barely fits in them. And maybe shorter firewood's the way to go, but then controlling your splits, mass production without having to resplit. I'm just saying the Yappa 405. This was the year of the Yappa, I think. Good
yeah,
heavens.
but then you'll have the 100 comments of you're making kindling or
Oh,
toothpicks
gosh. Yeah.
or splinters or why do you split so small and why do you do this and why do you do that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm over that.
Yeah,
I think the other big development in the firewood industry was Bob Nelson um, going on board with Wolf Ridge. I think that's a big deal.
yeah, big shakeup.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. Well, I think, what's Bob's skill is importing and exporting. Because he did that, mostly at Metza Machines. And maybe that's talking about the future here for Wolf Ridge,
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. Um, but I do think that, Metza Machines is still in a good position because they've acquired some good talent and they have a very strong bench on that in that organization. So I think good things await for that.
and I guess I just want to quick back up to the whole Paul Bunyan comment. Like I said,
Yeah.
the one, and that's why maybe I don't want to foreshadow something that may or may not happen, but the whole like meeting the people and getting together and having us share the camaraderie, like that to me is what Paul Bunyan has become.
Yeah.
And so when I say something like I don't know what's in it for me, I'm talking about like seeing equipment or seeing like going there to see just the equipment. That's I just
Yeah.
want to clarify that.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that's obvious because, like, I get, you know, invited to come down and spend the day at, a particular machine
Right.
and stand there because I'm associated with that, where you are kind of, you have a different role.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a Wolf Ridge, you've had a Easton Maid, you've had a Yappa. You're an influencer. You show stuff, so you're really not tied to one like the way I am, because I'm all in with Yappa. That's my livelihood.
Oh,
In
I
fact,
guess.
I wouldn't even say that I'm an influencer with it because, I bought it. Number one, I mean, I show it, and Yappa's been very good to me, but I'm dependent on that thing.
Right. And that might have been one thing I overlooked about 2023 was when I switched teams from Wolf Ridge to Orange and Blue Easton Maid. That was kind of a
Uh
shakeup that I caught a little heat for as well. But
You're such a controversial person,
I
Dan. Good
know that's
heavens.
and it
Uh-huh.
it was funny because I got messages and emails and people were there was some people that and they're still like I still see comments out there on other people's channels that reference me that they don't know that I'm probably seeing them, but I do. So I'm kind of like Santa. I've been making a list of people.
You're talking about like a person will make a negative comment about you in someone else's video.
Yeah, on someone else's channel, and those, and it's like those people that are leaving the comments, used to leave me positive comments until I made the change to, something like it's just funny. It's
I've always thought that you and me are a lot alike, but the one way that we are not is you get not easily, but you get fired up over drama like that, and I just laugh at it and just move on with my day, because I know that you've gone the war a couple times in 2023 with some
oh yeah,
incidences and
yep,
comments. You made one video where you took out your angst on all those rounds and your two log oxes, and um,
it, it was
complaining about a particular comment that got left
well
on a number of people's channels.
a situation. Yeah, it was a situation that, and again, that's kind of where I don't know. It bothered me because it was spread out amongst
Yeah,
all these other channels, and like the whole notion and the claim that was made was ridiculous.
it was.
And yeah, I just was like, all right, I've never done a rant video. I'm doing one. Let's see how it goes.
It was the main topic would have been blaming others for your own problems,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
right. And I've seen that with other channels as well out there. Like because of me and because of what I do in my videos, their channel is not succeeding. It's like, come on. If
Yeah.
if,
I
if
don't
you're gonna
accept
blame
that.
others,
I don't care what it is. I don't accept that. And that's like where I don't see how anyone could possibly get upset by all these other new channels that are starting, and some of the smaller channels that are growing. I think it's good. There's no competition here. It's not
absolutely.
like it's not like a football game where you got to have a clearly identified winner and a loser. That's not the way it works. It's building the niche.
Yep.
It's building the community, and the more the merrier, I say.
Yeah, YouTube and social media is a journey, not a competition. You're
Yeah.
on it, you're on your own path, you're on your own journey, and competition doesn't exist. It's only you're competing with yourself, if anyone.
Yeah.
And
I think
everyone
there's some
else.
people out there that look at that way, but I'm just saying,
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think it's within your best interest to have someone else in your niche, to be out there pushing videos and getting big views.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because the main and this is I guess one of the big things that like people don't realize with something like YouTube is that if someone watches your video, YouTube will recommend others. And so when you people watch others' videos, your video might be recommended. So it's a way
Yeah.
of, the more that we are, the stronger we are together.
Totally
But
agree. Yeah, the more the merrier. I think we
that's
need a
right.
big tent. Yeah, we need a big tent. We need a big tent at the Paul Bunyan show next year in case it rains.
We need a big tent at any event I plan because every one I've done, it's rained.
Yeah.
So, yes, big tents are needed.
Yeah.
2024, the year of the big tent.
The year of the big rain. Yeah. All right. Well, Dan, I think I don't know, what else could we do for a end of the year podcast but to talk about the year in review?
A little year in review. I like it. And if
Yeah.
you're out there listening and you've been following the Woodhounds podcast for however long you've been following it, maybe send us an email at thewoodhounds@gmail.com and tell us your favorite highlight or moment from 2023. And then maybe, to start the new year off, we'll do one more reflection back and like go through those comments.
Yeah. Or we can even maybe predict what we think is going to happen in 2024.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, I like that. Or maybe go over the resolutions that we might make on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. I'm very good at predicting things except stuff that might happen in the future. Yeah, I struggle with that. Yeah. Little satire there for you.
Yes.
All right. All right. Well, Dan, it was a pleasure working with you in 2023, and I look forward to another year in 2024 when we will reach our 100th episode, which is a big deal
Boy.
for the podcast.
And not only that, it's like the things are kind of aligning crazy is that we may reach the 100th episode right around the same time as the 100,000th download.
Yeah, that's a big deal in podcasting. 100,000 downloads, 100,000 downloads is huge, huge.
Right.
Yeah, and we put our episodes on YouTube, but that's kind of just like a repository. I mean, we're out in the podcast universe. We're on all the major streaming services. We have our own website. There's multiple ways to get your podcasts, and we are very grateful for listening to us and downloading and making us feel like we're part of your day.
Yes, indeed. And Joe, yes, thank you for 2023. It's your motto of if we're going to do this, we're going to have fun doing it has shown through, I think, in every episode. I think, it's been a blast and
awesome.
Really appreciate the friendship and, what you bring to the firewood woodhound community.
Well, thank you. And the same to you. So how about let's strike up the band and let's get ready to ring in 2024.
Yes. All right.
So we want to thank everyone for tuning in and helping make the Woodhounds podcast the #1 firewood podcast in the world.
And you can find us on all major podcasting platforms or at our website, thewoodhounds.com.
And we want to tell everyone out there to be
safe,
have a happy
New Year,
and have
a great day.